So we started off a video the other day. It was about Lucifer wanting to be a lemon, but not being turned into lemonade. I need a good line. The idea that I'm starting a video without a good line is insane. Need, need a good line. Is there something weird about limeade going on here? I want to be turned into limeade. What would that be? I want to be turned into me aid. Like, I don't want to be turned into the lies, or I don't want to be helping out my own lies in life. Last year, I downloaded the beginning framework of a book called The Lime Fool, which I'm trying to turn into the Free My Whales movie. But it was about basically the last 10 years of my existence, where I overran all the different stories that I communicated to myself about who people were on the inside, because I wanted to believe they were good. I wanted to put my best foot forward by apologizing for their bad behavior. Let me say that again. I would put my best foot forward by apologizing for their bad behavior. And then I would show up to work and I would get rolled on. And I would do this with every single employer and every single guy and almost all of my girlfriends. Almost all of them. It gets really taxing after a while. You realize, like, the young, innocent children that you shape and mold into moral superior and obedient, intelligent diplomats actually become something, and the rest of society just falls away. All right, so we're doing the Green Woman divorce ceremony. This is part 2. It's the integration activity. So we have a few different things about the integration activity in our life. The first most important component is I know my pattern is set at continuously always lying to myself about their bad behavior so that I can just cope. If I, let's say that again. If I can cope, then we're okay. So whatever lies I need to say to manipulate myself to be even able to handle the current situation of which I'm living in. Awesome. All right. So I know that that is my pattern set. And I know I have to override it. So in the process of overriding these behavior set patterns, the best and most profound way to do anything is setting up weekly rituals, daily rituals, and etc. Things that will consume your brain for like a fully immersive mind entrainment. We've been going over your CRY payout, which is your cyclical reality integration payout, which is also called your karma, but calling it your CRY actually makes more sense. Karma has such a stigma to it, and your CRE or your CRY, your cyclical reality integration price, is like a mathematical formula. It's your quantum thought analysis of how to apply and expend all of your energy and the return investment energy upon you, and how you will get and battle through all of the karma paths, how you will get certain jobs, how you'll be able to speak to certain people, how you will be able to elevate in society, and just access the universal flow of energy in the higher forces or spheres of life. So certain houses require a specific cry or a specific level of intelligence to access those talents or grace faculties. So you have to be in 7th house to access like Bina. You can be in 6th house to access Bina also. You have to be in 8th house to like be locked in. So your cyclical reality integration is that I will account for every single thought and cellular mutation in my body throughout all the entire timeline, through all past lives, through all future lifetimes. And so it's like time and space collapses onto your present day reality, and that is the astral planes, but that is also your physical life. So we call it cry because most people are really bad at all of that. They don't care about anything and they just drink. They drink to cope. They party. They have they're philandering. They cheat. They lack any kind of actual moral integrity. So they lack the actual virtue systems required to even have a good or healthy astral plane, which would be Yesod. Just a good Yesod has a good cry. And if you are like not virtuous in Yesod, then you're like then you're out of luck. So what happens is that life slams you down and it's absolutely your fault. Let me say that again. Because you did not account for all of your thoughts, because you did not account for all of your emotions, because you did not account for all of your cellular DNA, through the pit of hell, through the pit of the Klipith, which we also refer to as Klipith id, when the universe collapses on your life and becomes a disaster area or construction zone, that was what you chose because you wanted to watch a TV show instead of learn how to meditate, or you wanted to go get a hamburger instead of do A&R pages. And that's life. All right. Sacred Green Woman Ceremony integration. So we have established, fumbling words, we have established a Saturday protocol where I drop a specific set or ritual on a sacred space. And it's every Saturday. And we're going to cover it. We're going to go over what I do or what I drop on that sacred space. And it is to do a specific mind entrainment that would counteract my previous Egyptian marriage. All right, so let's talk about cry, your cry. So if you spent your life thinking you were married to somebody or would be married to somebody because they're attacking you in the astral planes all day long, or let's just say that it's a back-seated thought in your brain that you know that you have an Egyptian marriage, and that so you would still have to account for that because it's a repressed thought that existed in another lifetime, so it still exists in Yesod. So you have to account for this in your cry faculty. So in your cry count. So if you spend your time or life thinking about this, It has accumulated in every single cell in your DNA, through your bones, through your hair, through your teeth. Like, it's in your clothes. It's on the walls. It's in the paintings on the walls. It's in the paint on the walls. It's in your bed sheets. It is in your blankets. So it's like in every single part of your life. It's just like a physical marriage, but worse because it's like transcending timelines. Some of these marriages could be up to 1,000,000 years old because they're coming from intergalactic, multi-planetary systems. Let me say that again. Some of these relationships for the Egyptian marriages may be up to 1,000,000 years old or more in a linear timeline. And this is what the Egyptian masters understood. And that's the only reason why there would be something like an Egyptian marriage. Now, the problem with the cry is this. If you spend your entire life knowing that you're going to have to pay out for every single thought or reality manifest, or that every thought and in your reality will manifest, and your partner is a disease or a criminal, your universal collapse ends up in you getting stabbed. So your Egyptian marriage, your sacred marriage throughout history is ruined because they decided of their own free will volition that they were going to become a criminal. And it was at that point where Aerys Targaryen, aka Chris Pratt, also known as Archangel Kamail-M in training, he's like he will only be our Jake Sully for as long as it takes. Aries or Eris came through and said, nope. Nope. That's it. Those Egyptian marriages are bad and we are cutting them out. Okay. So the first level of heroism from him, maybe in infinity, we'll see. But the point is we are now burning out the bad connections. Now, a lot of these are twin flame marriages. Some of them are not twin flame marriages. They're like very deep soul mate marriages. But they bind at a cellular level. They bind at a cellular level through the pit of hell. So Isis and Osiris ran the underworld. So most people live out of the chakra, like they think their root chakra at their genitals is the earth element connection, instead of the 50,000 chakras beneath in the pit of hell in the Clippeth. Okay, so let me so Isis and Osiris ran those chakras. So Egyptian marriages are like bound in those chakras. Let me say that again. Egyptian marriages are bound through the entire Clippeth, through the whole underworld. So you're like tied to this person. You could be in complete stranger to the other person for an entire lifetime, or just be polar opposite like Kylo Ren and Rey. And it doesn't matter because you guys are bound together like this in the pit of hell. At such a severe, high intensity earth element, it will never go away. So Archangel Kamail-M came through to go, no. Done. Finito. All right. So if me, So if me and Elijah can separate, then anybody can separate, because Elijah is the guy that goes into Clippeth id. Let me say that. There is like, there are levels of Clippeth id, and we accessed all of it because Elijah is the guy. He is the crazy schizo in Clippeth id. Like, he is the Wizard of Oz running the show. Like, there's Aleister Crowley. Okay. So if me and Elijah can take each other out of our lives, which is like, it's a Kali Shiva bind. It's Isis and Osiris, Kali Shiva. If we can take ourselves out, then there is no excuse for anybody else. We were the hard ones. Our Egyptian marriage was so famous throughout history that it ended up creating Kylo Ren and Rey. And many books and many paintings and many pictures. So we're going to start with the first drop. So this is, I'm going to pretend like this is my sacred space. I bring my setup with me to the sacred space every time I do it. And every week, every single week, it's the same thing, or it's like a small variation of the same thing. So we're going to start with this and this. We're just going to put it here for now. I'm going to start with this. This is my Archangel Chamuel promise ring. I bought a bunch of them. Let me say that again. I bought a bunch of them. I spent about 75, maybe 80 pounds-ish, not keeping track, on buying Archangel Chamuel promise rings. This means that I am no longer going to hold any esteem to my Egyptian marriage. I will cut all cords throughout all my body and my clippus. And now I am like it's like a Mother Mary marriage to Archangel Chamuel N, where he would have complete approval of anybody else that I would ever actually marry. I made a very bad decision marrying Osiris. So it's just never. All right. So every week I buy a new one of these, or I buy them in bulk and I drop a new one of these. You see how it's like a pretty little heart ring? We already talked about it in one of the other videos. All right. Go Gryffindor. That means any mate, everything would have to be at the line of High Gaebra or higher. So like 7th house Gaebra or higher. Seventh house seat or higher. Okay, because that's my equal. And I'm nothing less than that. All right, so let's talk about these. Normally they're wrapped and I don't cut them, but I decided to cut them because I'm taking the excess and I'm eating it, or I'm making butter coffee with it. All right. I will get butter, or Eris will get butter in Slytherin or Netzok. And then I will get butter or better in Ravenclaw or Hesed. So if you stack them, it looks like this. And if you all know anything, it's the altar of the double cube. Okay. So let's pretend I'm making, so I open it, then I take out the butter, and I put it on the ground. See how the packaging's green? Yay, go Slytherin. Go Netzok. Okay, so it at a baseline, just by putting the butter on the ground, it's magic. Netzok butter, it's magic. Just period. So it overrides the brain's tendency to go like, what if it's not going to work? So it's like, it's Netzok, so it's definitely going to work. And then we open up our Hesed Ravenclaw. So now we have a butter block like this. Now the problem with, see, so double cube. All right, let's ignore what's on top of it right now. The problem is that the blue package says unsalted. We're going to look at the packaging real quick. This is Yayo Valley. I know there are better butters out there, but I need the packaging to trick my brain to do specific things in life. All right, so it's Yayo Valley. So here we have the Helm of Oz. It's the British flag. They chopped off the prongs and stuff. And then here we have the blue package. So I just see it, it says Yesod Valley. When I see Yayo, I go Yesod because it's EFES, which is, it's fucking English. And we all know that Yayo is an abbreviation for Yesod. All right. We also have little daisies that taps into a law of association magic, which is Ray, thanks to Daisy. But also good old McKenna. It's wand, it's Daisy. And then we have another level of Daisy magic that is, it grows like clover. Let me say that again. So it's a ground, sort of baseline. It grows like Malkuth flowers, like red clover. The ground cover. And you can see that at Hyde Park. So we're talking about really elementally easy magic. Does that just go over everybody's head? So sometimes the easier you make the magic, the better it works. When you lower the bar of where it goes and where it comes from, then the faster it manifests. It's simple. Okay. So like Daisy is like a really nice, easy vibration, and it just flows. All right. The problem is that the blue is not better than the green because it's unsalted. Let me say this again. If you're Ravenclaw, you're never going to look at blue butter that's unsalted and go, that's better, because it's not. It's not. So we're going to account for the missing salt and do it ourselves. So we buy the pink salt, and then this is our pink Tantra bath salt, but also editable salt. Tantra bath cleansing salt. All right. So we have our butter. We have our salted butter and our Slytherin salted butter. And there's a really special teaching that kind of elevates the Hesed energy or the Ravenclaw energy, is that when you separate, let me see this again. When you separate the ingredients and then start from scratch. So when you buy things that are like unsalted, it's not because it should be unsalted, it's because it's an element instead of a product. And so you are to rebuild it, because that's how that's how an engineer would think. You don't go, it's unsalted, we're just gonna stay there. You rebuild it in your brain, like, how do I make it salted? How do I make it better? Like, what else could I put on there? Maybe I need other special herbs around the sides. Maybe I need to put rosemary and braid rosemary around the butter, etc., etc. Okay. So I'm going to take my ring. Normally it sticks. A lot of the time it sticks when I have the butter, and then I do this, because I'm going to go piss off everybody that's watching me. And then I put it on the butter. So now I have a display. And it's odd. You understand? It's an odd display. Something weird and deranged. Now let's talk about magic. When you have to account for the energetic vibrational trade of like setting an intention and then having it manifest or deliver, it's usually like this. It's like a train hit you. So you have to know that your brain on butter is like, oh, this is nice and tea for it. I can crash into butter. I can crash into jelly. I can crash into marshmallow sludge. And I can crash into honeycomb. And I'll be okay. Because whatever DNA inside of me cannot handle the reconciliation through the shadow world, I'm going to reconcile it with a butter fill. Let me say that again. Whatever my repressed shadow DNA cannot reconcile, I will save myself with the butter. That is this. It's like I set a decent intention, and it may or may not manifest, but I know I can move steps forward. At the least. And that's like a very Hufflepuffy mindset. It's humility. So at my sacred space, we already prepped it by doing a display drop or an offering drop of the grape jelly, the marshmallow goo, the honeycomb, and the butter. So we did the 4 of Cups spread as a offering. So it prepped and primed the drop location for any and all magic to happen moving forward. When you create a sacred space to do alchemy or work or sacred drops, like, you have to think about, it's like building a house. It's like building a pool. So you think about the foundation. So At a baseline, it's where our wands were dropped. The Archangel Kamael wands were dropped. Okay. Then the next was where the Hufflepuff sauces were dropped. And then the next is where the green ceremony is dropped. The green woman divorce ceremony is dropped. So as you prep, it will compound and build on itself, and it will feel fluid and natural. Like they intuitively connect. They're not like, oh, I want to become a movie star intention. It's not that at all. It's like we established a fake marriage from the beginning via the path of the chariot with our wands. No matter what, we're still Archangel Kamael and Archangel Kamael. Archangel Kamael F and Archangel Kamael M. Okay. So the sacred space was prepped and primed from that space forward. Then it was the Hufflepuff sauces. And then it is the green women ceremony. Divorces. Divorce drops. Something I have to do every Saturday. Let me say that again. I have to do it every Saturday, which is my Auror day, where I'm auroring myself out of my own marriage. And I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm doing it for like I'm holding the actual anchor for the global Egyptian divorce ceremony, which makes it more important. Okay. So that's the prime drop. Let's talk about our next item that we have to have, which is our candle. Simple, just a simple tea light. This was prepped with our Kabbalah 99 Lotus candle holder. So every single time I bring a new candle holder with a new tea light, it still activates that really sacred Lotus candle holder. It's compounding magic. All right. The next is a ceremonial shot or drink. At first, it started with we started with cups, and then we're like, I got a shot. I've got a shot of this. I got a shot of that. We started with the beer. Okay, we started with the Sailboats beer, the white pale ale. It's like a very inexpensive beer, but it has a sacred totem on it, which is like flying through the underworld lifetime after lifetime. So it's okay if it starts kind of inexpensive. The next one was like, we're going to start upping the alcohol price, or the like if it's kombucha, we're going to do a shot of, or it's a probiotics that we're going to do a shot of, et cetera, et cetera. And we have the setup where we have the same exact shot glasses in bulk, and they're called cherry shot glasses. And they look like they would hold a cherry, basically. And they are underneath the cherry trees. So I'm going to tell you about like price in versus price out components. So I have the shot glasses. That's a ceremonial agreement. So I don't have the money to buy the nice big glass bottle of Bailey's. So I buy the inexpensive plastic ones. Like that's gonna work. It's kind of cheap. It's dismissive. My own higher intelligence, knowing that I'm supposed to buy the bigger bottle and figure out a way. So like there are sacred teachings within the Baileys. Let me say this again. There are sacred teachings and jokes within the Bailey's alcohol for why we would drop Baileys. Okay, so that's part of the drop, the alcohol offering, or we've dropped the water from the white well and the red well from Glastonbury there also. So it's not just alcohol, it's sacred liquid. I'm going to talk about prepping. So I'm not going to just drop the butter on the ground. I'm going to grab petals from falling pale pink roses, and I'm going to lay or lace the ground in the pale pink roses, or peonies, and then it will set the space for it's like a divine femme offering that is connected to the earth plane. Now, if they get really old and diseased, you double layer it. Like this is the compost version. Let me say that again. There's a compost version where you can put underneath a layer, and then you put the higher vibe fresh roses on the top, and then you put the butter on with the ring and maybe another insignia or another piece of jewelry on top. All right. Okay, so that is the primary. It's small and it's a weekly thing. But what it does to my brain is create a psychosis that my whole thought, my whole reality revolves around what am I doing this weekend? How am I going to do the butter drop? So it's always in the back of my brain. What's the next teaching that will come through? So I can only buy 5 of these rings. So what's the next thing I'm going to do? And then the next one, and then the next one. So then I'm automatically feeling and thinking and 100% committed in my brain, in my quantum field surrounding the divorce, instead of any idea that I'm going to stay in my Egyptian marriage. Let me say, like the ritual pattern and the creative game that I would play with this is everything. And the idea that I had an Egyptian marriage is nothing. This is important. And what I can do with this is important. And the idea that I had an Egyptian marriage with somebody who would end up stabbing me, it becomes null and void. So my energy is focused. Emotionally, I'm invested in that. Mentally, emotionally, physically, I have to physically get up and walk 8 miles to do it. I have to physically invest. So it's definitely in the spiritual world. The harder earth planes. Okay. So we're going to talk about pattern breaking. So this 2 sticks of butter are also a reflection of pattern breaking. Let me say that again. When you see yellow, like two things of yellow like this next to each other, it's a genetic pattern breaking. So anytime I'm dropping the 2 butters like this, pattern broke. Period. All right. We're going to talk about flexibility and schedules, and then we're going to talk about other activity. Some days I cannot do it on Saturday. Some days I have to do it on Sunday. So then I get another stick of butter. This is my anchor magic. Maybe I have to do it 2 days later. Maybe I have to do it 3 days later. Yep. Maybe I have to do it 4 days later. Yeah. So like the worst, like this is an embarrassment when I have 4 sticks of butter. That's embarrassing. I should just only have the first 2, and that's embarrassing enough. Like the shaming, the hazing and the shaming process is 90% of the magic. Let me say this again. The hazing and the shaming process is 90% of the magic. Because I look at myself and I go, I don't like that at all. But I know, like, because I can emotionally change my perspective of how I view my own reality, I have now pushed out what I didn't like for a new outcome. All right. This is my silver spoon. So for every day that I miss, I have to drop a silver spoon. That also. Because I have to remind myself that I'm not allowed to mess up. We went to Glastonbury the other day. We went into the Viking store, and there's this beautiful silver bowl, but it was a ship, but it was like a caviar dish almost. And at that ship, there was an oar, and the oar was made out of a silver spoon. And you just understood 100% of the teaching is that Vikings don't believe in silver spoons. The extent of my silver spoon is that I will be working and working and digging and moving forward and improving and getting better forever, and work it and continue working it and break it through and tough it out and grit it up and grit it out. That's Viking. It's genius. There's not a higher teaching on this planet other than that. So every single time I fail, every time I fail, I am definitely going to be bringing my silver spoon to the table. All right. We have to talk about this. We have to talk about this. 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 I think we're good. Please remember that your lighter color matters. So if I'm not using like Ascended Master Blue, I better be using like the Archangel Kamael colors, House of Kamael colors, which is the black and red get up. So this is mandatory. All right. So we're going to talk. So we have Earth. So what was the water? What's the water? Oh, bathing. Okay. So this was the air element. And then we have the candles for the fire element. All right. So every Saturday, My green woman ceremony. It's my sacred day of divorce. Okay. For 500 years. Let me say this again. 500 years. 501 years, actually. These were eternal marriages. That they were supposed to be eternal. So the first 7 years, it's like cellular cord cutting at a base level. And then the next 7 years is like an actual cleaning. And then the next 7 years is like, maybe I'll hit the clippeth level. And then the next 7 years is like your first shelf of clippeth, clean out. And then the next 7 years is like an actual, so that's 5 rounds of 7 years. $35 years. So just think of it like, duh. Okay. So if you make it a small ceremony, and then you make proxy locations, it's easy. Yeah. The point is that every Saturday, I'm thinking about, what am I going to do for my divorce offering? And that's all I think in my head. What's this week's divorce offering? Okay. We're going to talk about lack of resources before we go to the bathing section. There were 5 of these, or 6 of these, 5 of these for the ceremony. And I bought them all. And there are none left. So I have to think about, what am I going to drop in my next round? There were a few different ring options. There was an infinity symbol. There were the salvio-hexia rings. There you can see the honeycomb, like spell breaking. And then there were the white square or the absent square rings. And then there was an absent circle ring. And all of them can work, and they all have like a different. There was also like absent. So there could be like a yin yang heart. So we have the one heart with the gem, and then there could be the absent hearts where it's cut out for the yin version of that. The point is that you get really creative, and then you use what you have in your brain, and you build, and then you build, and then you build, and then you build until it becomes so powerful that there's nothing left to counter it in your mind or your emotions or in your emotional body. All right. We're going to talk about bathing. So this is lime oil. It was just recently purchased. Nothing special. 4 pounds. Simple. I liked the woman who sold it to me. She was kind of like this. Good boundaries, shrewd, right? So there's a sense of like that divorce energy already present, already ever present in that lime oil purchase because of who I purchased it from. So every single new moon, I'm required to take a bath with this and the Epsom salt, or the pink salt Epsom salt, a blend. And then every half moon and every full moon, I'm required to do lavender bath, lavender oil and Epsom. I should have a cut line and then cucumbers at the eyes. But on my new moon bathing, I shave my legs, I pluck my hair, I cut my hair, I clean out my ears and my nostrils, I brush my teeth really, 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 really well. I groom any kind of hairs. I cut my fingernails. Okay, so it's 100% personal grooming. And then I take my bath and then I soak. So that cuts all the cords from the current DNA set of dead DNA. And then I cut off the onset of incoming emanation energy from my counterpart, or that divorcee, through the astral planes and from his quantum field, whatever, and I divorce it, sever it. They will control you to death. It doesn't matter if you're Jesus. I'm going to say this again. It does not matter if you are Jesus. They will kill you. You will not change them. So you sever the cords. You give yourself the ability to live and breathe. All right. So now we're going to talk about the half moon, Hermes moon, Hermione's moon, the alchemist moon, and then the full moon, lavender bath. And it's not the cleanse, like the full green woman cleanse. Like I have to make sure that every single bit of my cellular DNA is just being rubbed off and then I coat myself in lime oil. It's not that. It's just a weekly reminder that I have to exercise the incoming energy being put forward from the moon. Let me say that again. They have chi. Their chi affects my life. And I have to do an exorcism bath once a week to offset their incoming chi via the moon. So I take like a nice bath once a week. Simple. All right. Now we have earth, like our offering. We have our water element, which is our bathing. Now we have our air. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys. These are genius. You see how simple this is to make? Some people are like, oh my God, I can't do a mosaics. Like, they are so simple to make. You go to a mosaics class and you just get a regular old tile and you make a green woman design. So mine's probably going to be, it's either going to be a lasagna. So it's a layer of black and then a layer of cobra acid and then a layer of black and then a layer of cobra acid and a layer of black and then a layer of cobra acid. So it's either going to be that or it's just going to be a cobra acid with two black stripes, the two black aura stripes across the, and then I burn my white square on top of it daily. And woof, I now have my perfect My perfect air element. And my white square will either have like a replacement marriage, or it will have just a nothing marriage, or just like divorce. It will say something that's meaningful that I can buy into. And then you do it on your sacred burning block daily. And you buy you cut up recycled white paper into little perfect cute, like perfect squares, and then you fold it up and then you burn it. There's your air element for the day. Like, this is not air element. This is earth element. But what you can do on this is air element. Next. The music you listen to has like emotions attached to it. Some of you are laughing at the punchline because Chris Pratt made the headphones thing like a ninja reality. So me and the girls call them Chris Pratt magic headphones. And we buy headphones that are like wrapped like this so they look like they're a specific charm. So this is my headphone setup with Archangel Kamael M. So these are my official Archangel Kamael M headphones, and then it matches my iPod or iPhone. Okay. So this is air element. Let me say that again. This, what I hear or listen to, is air element. And now my brain is looking at my headphones that are associated to the music that I'm listening to, and then it like strangulates my brain. Like, I'm not gonna think about Elijah because there's Chris Pratt. Right? So my brain overrides my Egyptian marriage with an Egyptian divorce via air element. So you have to gain enough compounding cry or quantum thought that actually shifts your body emotionally, mentally, and spiritually forward. This is the package that this came in. And the smartest thing to do would be to drop this at my sacred site, so that I understand that this is 100% connected to that reality. Okay, so now we have earth, water, and air, and we don't have fire. Let me explain. I'm gonna buy, like we're being told, a green woman candle, or a green candle. Let's do this. Let's pull it up. Favorites. We're gonna go over a couple things. Share screen. All right. Yay, there I am. All right, so this is my Etsy. The idea, so we're gonna, there are a couple of these things for you guys to register. One, the peony candles. That's High Gaebara. The peony tantra candles are High Gaebara, and they're anti-sex crime. So anytime you use that, that's the energy that would move forward when you're utilizing the peony. So we did the peony layout the minute that we hit Gaebara from day one, back when I was in Scotland. And we were going to move forward. So the Green Woman candle. If I was going to do one a month and I have like no money, I'm going to do something like a tea light. If I have to do one a day, I'm going to do something like this. I hear it's one a month and one a day if I can. Purchase and reviews. So I'm going to do this. And the reason I'm going to do this candle is this is the already currently established candle for setting up the Green Women ceremony. I'll say that again. We have all these candles that were purchased for Kabbalah 99 a year ago, 2 years ago. And this was the same product. I'm going to stay consistent, and then it's less taxing on my brain. And then the magic works better. At least in my mind. All right. That's the green fire. Stop share. There's nothing romantic here. Then I have all my bookwork. Then I have to make the pies. Oh no. Oh God. So now I have to, let's go back. Share screen. Yay. So we have a full integration issue. I have to make this pistachio mascarpone pie. And I have to do it with the marzipan and the raspberry jelly at the bottom. Okay. I may have to do 2 of them. I might have to drop one at the site and then actually eat one. That's a double. I'm also required to do the I am not a muggle pie and drop that there also. And that's the pecan pie. It's the twice cooked caramel pecan pie. And it looks more like this. And it's called I'm not a muggle pie. And then you do it with the blue absinthe. A shot of the blue absinthe. Again, something you have to do the masculine and the feminine. So it's establishing a new earth element in your entire matrix. So that's the I am not a muggle pie. And then the 100% cobra acid, cutting what once was. And then you can move forward. When I ate the I am not a muggle pie, I wasn't going through the Egyptian divorce yet. So there was nothing about, like, all it did was recycle the same exact cellular pattern of like, oh, Elijah's Harry Potter in my brain over and over again, instead of I have my Green Woman pie. And so now I have to bake a whole new I am not a muggle pie and reestablish a new earth element through the pit of hell. All right, stop sharing. We're good. That's our integration activity for the Sacred Green Women ceremony. All right, color run out.